Hello everyone, welcome back. In our last class we studied about the structure of nucleus, the structure of chromosome and the component of DNA and gene. In 1 minute I will try to revise the entire structure. So we saw that our entire body is made up of cells, and if you look at one cell, it is made up of nucleus and the cytoplasm. If you look at the nucleus, it has got the DNA material entangled in the form of chromatin, which when undergoing cell division will get organized into the form of chromosomes attached by a centromere. If you zoom into the structure, you will see that this chromosome has got double helical structure of DNA. If we look at the DNA, we will see many segments of DNA which consist of gene. This gene is a unit of inheritance responsible for passage of inheritance from one generation to another. This is responsible for in pattern of inheritance from the parent to the offspring or from one generation to another. That means gene is a segment of DNA responsible to carry this DNA information from the parent through the gamete into the offspring. So understood? So if you look at the cell, it has got nucleus. Nucleus is DNA which is clumped into chromatin. When it has to undergo cell division, for the proper equal distribution, it will undergo proper structural formation called as chromosome. If you look at the structure of chromosome, you will see it is made up of double helical DNA structure which has number of genes. If we see, there are 46 chromosomes, or you can say 23 pairs of chromosomes, which has got around 20 to 30,000 genes. So how many genes are there? 30,000 genes. So if you look at the DNA, this is DNA. There are many genes. How many genes? 30,000 genes. These genes are responsible to first get converted into mRNA and then into proteins. Okay, so DNA to RNA to proteins, which is the central dogma of life. What is the central dogma of life? That DNA is there which will get transcripted into RNA, or you can say messenger RNA in this case, which will further translate to form proteins, and these proteins or the macromolecules are responsible for various character generation. Okay, so from DNA to RNA to protein, that is the central dogma of life, or you can say genes are responsible for formation of mRNA or encoding proteins. So this DNA is the unit of inheritance, or it is required to carry the information from the parent to the offspring. There are total 30,000 genes which encode only at about 2% of DNA. That means out of 100% of DNA, only 2% consists of genes. So what is the rest 98%? Is it junk DNA? No, this DNA is also very important. How it is very important? That even though they are non-protein coding DNA, this 98% is non-protein coding DNA. It doesn't code for protein, but it does come up to this stage. It does form RNA, and these RNA molecules are responsible for controlling this 2%, for regulation, not controlling, you can say for regulation of this 2%. This 98% DNA is working. This is non-protein coding, unlike this 2 protein which codes into protein through RNA. But this 98% is non-protein gene or non-protein coding DNA. So it does form RNA, but it doesn't get converted into proteins, and they are responsible for the regulation of this 2% of DNA or gene. So there is a question asked that total protein coding DNA is what percentage of total DNA? That is only 2% DNA, or you can say genes constitute 2% of DNA, which is protein coding. And what is non-protein coding? 90 98%, which helps in regulation of this 2%. Alright, so what is protein coding? 2%. What is non-protein coding? 98% is constituted by non-protein coding, which helps in the regulation of the coding part of DNA. Okay, now next comes the concept of codominance, and one concept we will study later is the concept of incomplete dominance. What is codominance? So if we looked at the structure, we discussed that in the chromosome a particular location is occupied by the gene. That location is called locus, and on the alternate part of this homologous chromosome or the other part or the other chromosome of this pair, the same locus is occupied by the alternate form of gene called as allele. So this is one form of gene which is one allele, and the alternate form is called the second allele. So if we look at the example of character or height, we saw that this is the dominant allele, which is represented by capital T, and this is small t, which represents the recessive allele. Okay, so why is it dominant? Because if both are present in the genotype, this is the genotype formed by the representative alleles. If this capital T is present, it will dominate over this recessive trait and will be able to express itself. What is phenotype? Phenotype is what we can see, which the character which is expressed. So it is tall only. So the phenotype is tall. Even if it is the heterozygous form. What is the heterozygous form we discussed? If two different allelic forms are present, it is called heterozygous. But if same allele is present, whether it be capital T or small t, it is homozygous. So in its heterozygous state, the dominant allele will be able to express itself and the phenotype will be tall only, even if it is present in the heterozygous state. So the dominant allele is the one which will dominate over the recessive allele and will be able to express itself in its phenotype. So if capital T and small t is present in case of a height, what will be the phenotype? The phenotype will predominantly be decided by the dominant allele. It's the same example, like two friends are there. Okay, one wants to go to see one movie and other friend wants to go and see another movie. But friend who is always dominating the other will finally dominate and tell, let's go for this movie. So who will decide which movie is going to be watched? It's the dominant friend or it's the dominant allele. So who is deciding the expression of the trait? The capital T or the dominant allele. So finally the phenotype will be tall. But if in case two friends are there and nobody is able to be recessive in front of another, both want to be dominant or both are equally dominating, so what will they say? They will decide on codominance. They will both be able to express themselves and decide a movie together. Nobody is more dominating, nobody is more recessive. They are both equally dominating. When both the alleles are equally dominating and are able to express themselves equally, it is a codominant character. For example, AB blood group. If A antigen is present, only A antigen, it is the A blood group. If only B antigen is present, it is the B blood group. But if both A and B antigens are present, nobody is able to dominate over other, and finally if both antigens are present, they will co-dominate, equally express themselves, and the blood group will be AB blood group. So you understood? Here the concept of dominance given by Mendel is not able to express itself because nobody is more dominating than the other and both are able to express themselves equally. Okay. Now next comes incomplete. Next is incomplete dominance. What is incomplete dominance? when neither of the allele is able to express itself individually. Okay, for example, if you take red flower and white flower, so technically you will think that either red, okay, if this is like heterozygous, okay, so either it should be red in color or it should be white in color, depending on whosoever is more dominating over the other. But the problem is neither of them is so dominating and neither of them will be able to express themselves fully. So both will give some part of its feature and the character will be intermediate in between two of them. Okay, intermediate means that the product will be pink flower. So it is neither red nor white. The product is pink flower. So the alleles were incomplete dominating. Incomplete dominance, neither is expressed fully and the character is intermediate in between the two. So red and white flowers together make pink flowers. Okay, so that is the concept of incomplete dominance. So what we understood, what is genotype? It's a set of alleles. Okay, this is genotype. And what is phenotype? Is the expression of the character, either tall or dwarf, whatever you are able to see. What is codominance? When both the alleles are able to express themselves. In what is incomplete dominance? Neither of them is able to express themselves and the character is intermediate of the two, like pink flowers are formed out of the red and the white flowers. So this is the concept of incomplete dominance. Next we will look at the difference between polygenic and the concept of multiple alleles. Okay, so what is polygenic? Polygenic is many, poly means many or multiple and genic means genes. So if one character is decided by multiple genes, okay, one character is decided by multiple genes, it is called as polygenic inheritance. Okay, and what is multiple allele? If one character is decided by one gene, but that one gene can have multiple alleles. Okay, like in case of eye color of Drosophila, there can be 15 different types of alleles of a gene which are able to decide the character. That means it is not important that one gene will have only two alleles, but one gene can have multiple alleles which can decide which character will be formed. For the expression of the trait, not only two alleles but multiple forms of genes can be present or multiple alleles can be present which will be able to decide the eye color of Drosophila later. Like in case of polygenic inheritance, if you discuss about diabetes mellitus, it is not only decided by one single gene but multiple genes. Then one another terms comes polyfactorial. Same example goes for diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cleft lip, cleft palate, okay, skin color. These not only depend upon genes or the genetic makeup, but they also depend on environmental factors. Like if you look for diabetes, is it only caused by genetic factors? No, it is also decided by environmental factors. Your diet, exercise, so many factors are responsible. So does it come under only genetic disorders? No, it is a polyfactorial disease. Multiple factors decide whether the patient is going to have diabetes or not. Even if mother or father has diabetes for a long period of time, the child developing diabetes or not only depends upon the genetic makeup but also whether he exercises properly, whether he takes the diet properly, okay, then whether he walks for a proper time, for a proper day. So many factors are there which will decide whether that offspring of a diabetic mother and a diabetic father will develop diabetes or not. yes, there are very high chances that he will develop diabetes, but not only genetic makeup, it will also depend on so many other factors, that whether he will be able to save himself from diabetes or not. Similarly, hypertension. Does it only depend on genetic makeup? No, it depends on exercise. Low sodium, low salt diet. Okay, less stress in life. So many factors are there which will decide whether he can save himself from hypertension even if both the parents are hypertensive. Similarly, cleft lip, cleft palate, skin color. Does skin color depend only on genetic makeup? No. It also depends upon the environmental exposure to sunlight. If a person is exposed to sunlight for a much longer of period of time, then he is likely to be darker in complexion compared to parents. Okay, even if he has genes which go for a lighter color or fair color, but due to his excessive exposure to sunlight, he is likely to develop a dark complexion. That means skin color is a polyfactorial inheritance. So many things are responsible, and this covers up for the third pattern of inheritance. So we can now discuss the pattern of diseases. That means if you have a chromosome like this in a cell, 46 chromosomes are there. So any defect in any of these chromosomes will lead to chromosomal disorders. That is one type of disorder. What is chromosomal disorder? Any defect in chromosome that can be structural or in number. Okay, if any one chromosome is deleted, that will lead to a chromosomal disorder. If any one chromosome is increased in number, chromosomal disorder. If size is decreased, that is a structural disorder, chromosomal disorder. If only gene defect is there, that is a genetic disorder, gene related. That is gene related disorder. So one is chromosomal disorder depending on structure and number of chromosome defect. Gene defect, gene related disorder, only one gene is defective. Which of these disorders is going to cause more complicated disease or more effect? Chromosomal disorder, because if one gene is causing so much problem, the entire chromosome which will have so many genes, if any defect in the chromosome, so many genes will be defective, and finally more complicated disease will develop. Like you can see in case of Down syndrome, which is a chromosome related disorder, trisomy 21, will it only cause one type of defect in the patient? No, it will be due to multiple genes will also be affected in case of a chromosomal disorder. So one is chromosomal disorder, next is gene related disorder. Chromosomal disorder is likely to cause more symptoms and more defects in the patient, because one chromosome can have so many genes and so many gene regulatory factors will be affected, that it will be more harmful compared to a gene defect which will have a lesser effect compared to chromosomal disorder. And third type will be polyfactorial. That means not only genetic but also environmental factors, dietary factors, nutritional factors, okay, exercise related effects. So many factors will be deciding the inheritance of polyfactorial diseases. Which is the most common you will think about? Polyfactorial diseases. Okay, so today we discussed about what is gene, what is chromosome, what are gene related disorders, what are chromosome related disorders, and the third factor called as polyfactorial inheritance, where not only the genetic makeup but other factors like nutritional factors, stress, diet, exercise, all these things will also decide on the expression of the